You can follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Facebook, we are YBM Chat Podcast. Instagram at YBM Chat. You can listen to us on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts at YBM Chat. Hey, it's Dashia D.
Hey, what's y'all? It's your boy Tre'Dub.
What's going on? It's LadiiNova.
And we are
YBMC.
young Black millennials offering you a fresh take you didn't know you needed.
So, unfortunately, one of us is not here tonight, Miss Cassondra. She will not be joining us tonight. So, with that being said, boy, ye.
And you already should know what that means. Things that's going on that we really don't care about or that's upsetting us. So, boy, ye, Sallie Mae decided they want to send their employees out to Hawaii on a 5-day expense trip. Really? Like, what the fuck?
Like, can I work for it?
Now, honestly, I don't know if I got Sallie Mae, but still, my money is going to somebody. And I'm not in Hawaii, and I went to school to do all of this. So, boy, fucking ye with the shit. I hope y'all have a terrible ass time. I hope it rains nonstop. I hope y'all don't get no fire shows, no nothing. Just be inside.
Hope you have a whole monsoon.
It's a shame that they're profiting off of that when kids need loans to just attend school.
Exactly.
And Bernie Sanders used this as a point to just say, hey, we should cancel all student loans, student debt.
He sure did. And I was 100% with that as
what?
a current grad student.
Jesus be a fence and get his health together so that my student debt can be off of my credit report. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
And the church says, amen. So the next boy. So Snoop Dogg apparently had a lot to say about the relationship between Keyshia, is it Kayor or Kiyor? The makeup lady. And Gucci Mane relationship. So he, just to kind of sum it all up, he talked about them two on his social media recently. Long story short, just kind of saying how, you know, Keyshia was one of those ride or die type chicks that kind of goes through every phase of the typical rapper hood boy. And basically, to be kind of more specific, he's talking about how Keyshia has been there through the cheating, has been through the jail time, has been there through all the criminal activity that, and still she manages to stay around and be, I guess, a good what is it, wife now? They're married, yeah. So
they didn't have that
and definitely the reason why we want to address this. We want to address this because I feel like at this point, boy fucking ye. And I will let Dashia give her reason as to why she's saying that, but she will not say verbatim. But go ahead.
I mean, it's just annoying to see posts like that because it's rare that you see it the other way around. It's rare that you hear about the ride or die guy. People bring up Papoose and Remy Ma, but that's one of millions of stories. We see the Keyshia K, because I'm not even going to attempt, the Keyshia K stories every other day. Why is it that someone has to be ride or die and stick with you through all of these different things until you choose to become a better person? That's if you choose to do that. And not all of the time do they end up actually benefiting from that person becoming better, because 9 times out of 10, they move on. So.
Yeah, which is 100% true.
Gucci Mane.
Now, and also this just came to my mind that he just released an album today. Well, recently, but yeah. So I mean, and us three, or usually 4 of us, have experienced it like with I wouldn't say our friends, but people that we came across in like our hometown or just in general, who feel like they have to stick around through, you know, stuff that that's unnecessary to be in a relationship in. you know, but hey, every relationship is different, so more power to them. I wish them the utmost best of luck. With that being said, that wraps up boy.
So, the other day, I was watching an interview with Wale on the Breakfast Club because I'm an avid Breakfast Club interview watcher.
I'm not, but go ahead.
Ooh. Boy. So, so anyway, he has a new album that came out called Wow, That's Crazy. And he talks about an array of different topics, some being like mental health issues, depression, anxiety, body dysmorphia, all sorts of things. But in the conversation with Charlemagne specifically, they start talking about something called imposter syndrome, and him just saying how even though he's a young black man who has been successful and he has people like J. Cole as friends to call on, he still enters into spaces where he should feel so confident based on his success, and he doesn't. He feels the exact opposite. And so I thought it would be interesting to kind of talk about that because I think that most people experience it. So I went ahead and got a direct definition to better explain it. So, a lack of self confidence, anxiety, doubts about your thoughts, abilities, achievements, and accomplishments, negative self talk, and feelings of inadequacy. Yeah. Even though you have evidence of the contrary, that is what imposter syndrome is in a nutshell. And so, my first question is, um, tell me about a time that you've experienced this personally. I don't know who wants to start. Y'all are both giving me faces.
So I'll start. So
Okay.
definitely, especially at the age that I'm at, it's definitely been some cases where I've kind of like, questioned that definition or the phrase that we're talking about. When I start to feel that way is one thing is I have a lot of older friends. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because, of course, they're kind of like in the stage in their lives where they are kind of like settled, and they're settled into their careers or settled into like their way of life and things like that. And I'm just now getting there. So it's kind of like, me being or interacting with these, with a lot of older people that are in like 30 plus age, and me just kind of like, starting out. Sometimes I kind of feel like, well, when am I going to get there? And I think that's kind of normal in a situation like that because, I keep forgetting that, hey, I'm still almost 24 years old, and that I have so much life ahead of me. And I just, because I have these people in my life that, are already kind of set in their lives, I just have to forget that, eventually I will get there because I'm not there yet. So hopefully that answers the question because I know I was all over the place.
No, I understand that. I feel like you kind of get into a comparison game, not realizing that you're where you're supposed to be based on your age. You know what I mean? You just moved away. You're getting into your first job of your career. You're where you're supposed to be, and they are older than you. So it'll just take time to get to that point.
Yeah.
LadiiNova.
So apparently I've been had this syndrome forever and I didn't know a name for it, but I've been doing it since high school, watching you guys, top of the class, and I saw everybody getting the college credit courses. I'm like, dang, all my friends about to be sitting on a stage. And it's like, yeah, I should have been happy that I graduated high school, but I knew it was some things that I could have done more to push myself there. Luckily, I had some teachers that helped push as well to get me there. And I ended up being number 10 of the top 10. And I was like, okay, I'm up here, but damn, why wasn't I further up? Like, I still kept putting myself down. I was like, it's so unnecessary. Even now, everybody has a job in their career. And I'm just doing, to me, I feel like it's just a generic job. I work in a department store, working in the back, and like just doing dock work. And every so often I get in my head like, dang, Tre'Dub is out here doing stuff. Dashia's out here doing stuff. Cassandra's out here, and I haven't even put forth an effort towards my degree. Well, I have, but I always had that setback of, well, you don't have an internship or you have no experience. And it's like, well, how the hell you expect me to get experience if you don't let me work? Like, and I let them know I'll start at
Do
the
not
bottom.
get me started.
I will be that person. Like, you want to make copies? If I gotta make the same copies 10 times, I'll do that. I'll stand in there and watch somebody else give my opinion on something, not give an opinion, just be watching. Like, nobody wants to do that. The only thing that I got was to start a platform. And even with that, I didn't even know where to go. I was
Mhm.
all over the place. But I've always been that way, looking at the next person and not like people that I don't know. I try to compare myself to you all, and I didn't do it in a bad way. It was just like, okay, I'm not going to be them. Everybody has their own level, but I do need to get my stuff together and figure out where I want to go at.
Yeah.
And I'm just now like getting there now.
I think that's similar to what Trey was saying of like kind of getting into that comparison game, and honestly, you have to celebrate the small victories as well because you're a college graduate. Not very many people can say that. You've
Yeah,
done
they
that. And I
say
know it's hard, and I know it's easier said than done because I'm the same way. Once I graduate or once I complete this one goal, then I'm like, all right, what's next? All right, this is done. What's next? And it's like you forget to celebrate yourself for the things that you've already accomplished.
what I had to do was I had to was not even something I had to do. It was just like confirmation coming up. It's like those days where I'm thinking about it and stuff get hard. I either go through like my Facebook memories or I see something come up and I'm like, here's Taraji P talking about how nobody thought she was gonna make it because she was too old. She was 20 something. But I remember seeing her in little things like Sister Sister and like Smart Guy, like Small Rose. Got Viola Davis. As long as she's been out here acting, wasn't nobody watching her until years down the line, and she's getting all this recognition. And I'm like, I guess it's a millennial thing. Like I'm so in my head now from being in between old school and new school. I see everybody doing like dumb random crap on YouTube and everybody's following them, some type of drama, whatever, but they're getting recognition. Whereas you have people like Viola Davis and Taraji P that worked hard from like nothing, having very little, and they just did what they had to do and move forward. So it is what it is.
Yeah. When they were talking about it, and then I looked up the definition and I thought of, what to ask. Honestly, I feel like I experienced imposter syndrome the most, or I've experienced the most in school, somewhat in the workplace, but really when I first went to college. Because it wasn't until I got to my sophomore year of college where I realized that I had an inferiority complex. Like you've heard of superiority complex and things like that. Like if let's say a white person assumes that they're better than or they're more intelligent simply because they're white. It was
Mm-hmm.
the opposite for me. I assumed that people who didn't look like me were smarter, they were going to go further in life, they just were going to excel in school, and I was not. And then I tried to really think about like, okay, well, how did I reach this conclusion? And honestly, I feel like it's just the messaging in media and things that you see that you take in subconsciously that you don't really think about. And all my life, I've gone to predominantly Black schools and I've seen certain things. And then when it's being portrayed again and you get that same messaging, I think I just went into college thinking like, okay, this is how Black people are, and I am that. So this is what is expected of me when I go here, and I don't know. So I think once I got there, and then you start hearing people say, well, you guys got into this school because they have to reach a certain quota. And it's like, okay, well, did I get into the school for my merit? Or did I get into the school because they have to have a certain percentage?
That's
Yeah.
deep.
I feel like I was kind of all over the place, but that's kind of how that's the first time I think I felt it. And now that I'm working, it's a similar thing because there's not very many people of color in my office. But it's not as bad as it was in college, in grad school, I would say. So my next question is because Charlemagne said, well, at what point do you start to feel worthy? Like, how do we get to worthy? I know. Megan made a face like, dang, I need time to process that.
Yeah, because I'm trying to figure out like, what do you mean by feeling worthy? Like just
So if I could use okay, I could use myself, I guess. And I'm thinking out loud. all of the negative self-talk about, okay, well, this is Wale was saying he gets a lot of anxiety because of he doesn't know what people's perception of him will be. And I think that was my biggest issue in college. I felt like I had to be on my P's and Q's. I have to speak a certain way, can't be too geeky. I'm not anyway, but like I have to really tone it down because I am assuming that you have a perception of me as a Black woman. And so I have to do everything in my power to make sure I give off the opposite. Instead of me thinking that way, how can I reshape it and say, you know what, I'm Dashia. This is who I am. I do deserve to be in this seat. I worked my behind off in high school and I am worthy. I didn't get it into the school because I'm Black. I got into the school for my merit, just like you.
Mm.
Like, how do you reach that point of like cutting off the negative self-talk and saying, you know what, I worked my butt off. I deserve to be here. Take it or leave it.
For me personally, I would say two things. It's between self-realization and words of affirmation, and that kind of that may be the same thing. But but the reason why I say that is because one, you definitely have to surround surround yourself around people that definitely knows your worth and people that recognize your worth, even when you don't recognize it yourself. You know, so and I'm speaking for myself because I know, well, everyone knows I have a large friend group, and you know, with every single person that I label as a close friend of mine, I kind of make that decision for a number of reasons. One, because I feel like you've kind of been there for me. You have been there for me in the times where I feel like I didn't want, at times where I just didn't have the best self-esteem about myself. And that's why I say, like, words of affirmation for me was obviously one of my love languages. and that's why I feel like, for me personally, that's when I started to feel more worthy myself, when people that I love and cherish most are telling me that, hey, Trey, you are doing so much better than the average 23-year-old. You are doing so much better than anyone around your age. Well, not anyone, but most people my age, like that. So things like that actually make me feel so much better about myself and drives me to want to do more. So that's me.
I guess I'm gonna have to say the same for myself. But for me, I don't know. I guess it depends because I have the type of parents, they're not going to say it all the time, but when they do, it's like I take it in because we're not the type of family like to express ourselves a whole lot. And if it weird enough, if they want to say something positive about me, they'll let my siblings know, like, you know, let your sister know she don't got to stress. Like, we see what she's doing good. And it's like, okay, you could have told me that, but it is what it is. You're still saying it. But at the same time, I'm like, well, you're my parents, so you're gonna think that, and you're
That's
gonna
true.
see yourselves in me. So you're gonna put me at a level where it's like, well, this is something I do. This is how people know me. So you know, you already got that in you, and it's like, do I really?
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know. Um, Relationships, I've heard it. Sometimes it was like sometimes like a double thing. It's like I heard it and then it was like shoved down my throat. Well, you're the type of person and you're not showing everybody else. So it's like, what are you really doing? And it's like, okay, don't really know how to take that. I don't know where to go. But at the same time, like who I'm with right now is like it's being told to me and I take it, but then it's like I know you're not saying it just because we're together, because actions wise, but then it's like you watch me every day. You've seen something that some other people haven't seen or whatever. But then recently, Tre'Dub, a friend of yours, said it to me, and
Yeah.
we don't even talk. And I was kind of like blown back, and he was just like, you know, I see you as a type of person. You got the type of personality, and I'm like, honey, we barely speak, and you see this from like one conversation. Another friend of mine, like her friend, we've hung out maybe once or twice, and she just straight up was like, yeah, this ain't the place for you to be. Like, since I've met you, you just seem like a go-getter. You have like a lot of things you want to do. And for you to be here is like stifling you. It's a small place for you to be in South Carolina with such ideas you have and type of person you are. Like you have to branch out. And I'm like, dang, all of these people are seeing this in me, and some people I don't talk to or barely have spoken to, and it's like it's still hard for me to get out of that realm and be like, I can do X, Y, and Z. But
Mhm.
I feel like if I do it, case in point with this podcast or with my writing, especially with my writing, I've hit goals that I never even set for myself, and I still don't even know how to get excited about it.
Mhm.
So like when I told you all like my story hit #1 for like the rain category or whatever, I saw it and I was like, I legit was on the phone with my girl and I was like, wow, that happened. That was it. I screenshot it, sent it to her, and she was like, babe, this is amazing. She's sharing all that. She's like, you're not excited. And I'm like,
I
I
can
mean,
100% agree with that. And honestly, when I got this job in Atlanta, and this is just a little bit about like, my steps to get to where I am now. Like I had tried for months, almost close to a year, to try to find something that was gonna progress me to where I wanted to be as far as career wise. So
Mhm.
when it finally happened, it was kind of like unexpected, but at the time it wasn't a big deal for me. But why I didn't portray that it was a big deal. It just was like, oh, this is just another rejection. On to the next one.
Mhm.
But when I actually got that email and the follow-up phone call to tell me, hey, you got the job, we want you to start on so-and-so date, I was like, okay, where's Swiper that's going to swipe my blessing away from me? You know?
Yeah.
So, yeah,
no
I
blaming.
definitely feel that. Right. Oh, man. So, yeah, I definitely understand that feeling 100%. So, yeah.
I was going to say one thing that I have to constantly be intentional about is challenging those thoughts, those automatic thoughts that come to your head, because some one thing can happen and then you funnel it, right? You funnel it to the things that you already believe. That's
Mm-hmm.
just what you do. So going back to my school example, my first year of college, I was a biology major, and I'm sure we'll do a whole episode on college. But I was a biology major and I had this whole plan set. Well, I ran into my friend calculus and then chemistry. And I was
Chemistry.
like,
Oh no, baby, what is you doing?
this ain't it. This ain't it. And it was very difficult for me. Like when I would get a test back, especially calculus, when I would get a test back and I did poorly, I had so many days I went back to my dorm room and cried. And I was like, see, in my brain, it was more like, see, this is evidence. The story I'm telling myself is that I'm not going to pass this class. Probably not going to be able to be a biology major, meaning I'm not going to go on to do the things I thought I would do. I'm not going to find a major I like. And it's a ripple effect of all these different things that happen. And then here we are 5, 6 years later, and I have my master's degree and I'm happy in a field that I actually like. But had that not happened, I would have been trying to power through something I was unhappy with. Um, but all that to say, like you have to continue to challenge yourself on those automatic thoughts and telling yourself those stories based on some belief that you have based on zip evidence that you're going to fail or you're not going to do well or you're not going to be in the position that someone else
Um,
is.
I'm curious because you brought up the whole school thing and passing the test.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess then I don't know where I was because I had moments where I felt like that, and it's like I'm about to just flunk out. I've had mornings where I literally could not get dressed. Like so much stuff was going on, and me just trying to get ready for that one class, like I broke down and was like, "This is just not the shit for me. Like I cannot handle this. I'm exhausted." But then I had those other days where it's like, "Yep, failed that test. Well, moving on. Whatever. Don't care. I already know this shit's gonna be it. Like it's just done." I got nonchalant about it. It's like I was starting to prepare myself to fail and act like
Mm-hmm.
nothing happened. Because I'm sure many of the people, you guys listening, y'all probably got a test back in high school and y'all comparing it with y'all friends and everybody failed. And you was like, oh, got a 43. Up. I got the
I
lowest
got
one,
the highest
28.
grade in the
Right.
class.
Exactly. I got the highest grade. What, 52? It's like, wait, what? Why are we? Why is this
I was
exciting?
one of those people. I was one of those people.
So I was like, I don't know what to do is. I don't know where that places me, because I have those moments where it's like, up, completely failing. It is what it is. You know, I'll just stick here in this failure spot for a while, and then I slip back into that slump of, I am just messing up this whole group dynamic. Everybody's got their things going on, and I'm just the slacker back here, just working to pay bills, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
You
So,
know,
oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I believe, even before the situation happened, I'm a firm believer of destiny. I feel like certain situations, or for anyone, happens for a certain reason, for a certain time. It allows us to kind of realize ourselves as a person, as an individual, and kind of like understand what is it that we are expected, or I guess understand our purpose in the world. And the reason why I say that is because we kind of have to go through, like, I think we spoke about it in our previous episode about our off season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and actually using that off season to one go through those rejections, because when you get that one yes, that's going to change your life completely for the better. And like that, and then by then that's when you're going to realize, I know that I'm DeAndre. I want to be a graphic designer. I want to own my own business and be a creative director, and I know the steps I'm going to take to eventually get there. Once you have that self-realization, I feel like the sky is the limit from there. So I feel like going back to destiny, things happen for a reason to kind of like allow you or mold you into thinking about, or knowing that you're worthy.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
So, and I sort of talked about challenging your thoughts, and I thought that was a really good piece, Tre'Dub.
Thanks.
So, what are the tools I want you guys to share with the audience? Like, what tools do you use to kind of stand in your own power?
What kind of tools? That's a good question. Kind of going back to my off season, music got me through a lot. and the reason why I say that is because I had a lot of down days. I had a lot of days where I was like moody. I didn't know what my next move was going to be, with every rejection email that came, with every like rejection call for a job that I was hoping to get, that I almost positive that I was going to get. It really took one, having those conversations with my parents, or just like close friends, kind of been there as I kind of went through my journey. And also music. I'm a big music fanatic, mainly because of where my depression stage kind of came from, because it allowed me to, one, understand my creativity. And I know that sounds way out of the ordinary, but trust me, it helps. Music is therapy. But yeah, that's kind of my tool. So I hope that makes sense. One, but yeah, what's yours, LadiiNova?
Again, I agree with you. That is in my top 3. So it's music, dancing, and writing. Going through some stuff. Of course, most Black people would go back to gospel music, and being here crying or something. I can't say I didn't have those days, or I didn't just break and pray or whatever. But I don't know if anybody's heard, what's her name, Corinne Hawthorne's "Won't He Do It." It's not like a heavy gospel song, but she's a younger girl, and I thought it was hype. And I heard it for the first time, and I was just in here geeking, because I was like, yo, I have been stressed out for like months on top of months about something that had nothing to do with me, but it was consuming my life. And it was like the small window came, and I actually got the job I'm at now. And I'm thinking, I'm not about to have no income. I don't know what I'm doing, but I have to leave from this job because it's wearing me down. And then I got that job right after hearing that song, and I was just in here listening to the song. Then I transition. It's bad because I go from gospel and I start listening to trap music. I gotta pray and work on that, because that's terrible. I went from "Won't He Do It" to shake that A and let me see what you got. It shouldn't have been like that.
Ain't nothing wrong with trap music. I'm gonna tell you right now.
It shouldn't have been like that, but it was. And then I started dancing.
I'm not apologizing for it at all.
I danced for like hours, and then late at night, especially if I don't have to work, is when my creative juices start flowing, because either things that I went through or just all the emotion I've been going through, I just become creative and just start writing stuff. And I feel like, okay, this is something that I love to do. It's along the paths of what I went to school for and am going to school for. So maybe I should just focus on that, and I actually get some things done. It's like, okay, like this is something people will read. This is something they've been waiting for and they'll appreciate. And I kind of get that weight off a little bit and start to feel better.
Yeah.
And tools that I have used, therapy. It just helps for me to just process things, to process it and be reassured that you aren't the only person going through certain things. Learning different coping skills, like I said, practicing that positive self-talk, challenging negative thoughts. Sometimes people need a social media detox, because you sort of get into that comparison game, like I said, and y'all talked about earlier. You see this person bought a house, this person got married, this person
got a master's
passed
degree,
the bar, just whatever, just things, I guess.
Yeah, the baby, but they can keep it.
Right, but just different things that you see, and you're like, well, why am I not doing this? And why haven't I achieved this yet? And then lastly, y'all touched on it earlier, just surrounding yourself with people who love and care about you, who are cheering you on. So I'm interested to hear from the audience. Just comment below or let us know on Facebook. Have you ever experienced imposter syndrome? And if so, how did you manage it? So join us every Monday.
comment,
like, subscribe.
And guess
what's up.
All right, y'all.
Later.
You can follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Facebook, we are YBM Chat Podcast. Instagram at YBM Chat. You can listen to us on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts at YBM Chat.